Some Marvel characters didn't die, retire, or fade out. They just vanished. One issue, they're saving the world. The next, they're gone without a single line of explanation. No farewell, no closure, just silence. A mutant erased from the team roster. A cosmic hero who disappeared between events. A villain's sidekick who never showed up again. These weren't dramatic exits. They were gaps Marvel never filled. So who were the heroes and villains that vanished without a trace? And why were they never mentioned again? Here are 10 Marvel characters who vanished without any explanation. At number 10, we have Darkhawk. When Darkhawk burst onto the scene in Darkhawk issue 1 in 1991, he felt like Marvel's next breakout hero. Christopher Powell, a teenager from Queens, discovered a mysterious alien amulet that swapped his body with a high-tech android, granting him armor, flight, and energy blasts. He wasn't just another vigilante. His story balanced cosmic mystery with grounded family drama. For a few years, Darkhawk appeared everywhere, teaming with Spider-Man, joining the New Warriors, and serving briefly as a West Coast Avenger. His solo run lasted 50 issues before ending in 1995, and after that, his spotlight dimmed. A decade later, he returned in Avengers Arena in 2013, injured but alive, not erased. Darkhawk re-emerged in Infinity Countdown, Darkhawk in 2018, and Guardians of the Galaxy in 2019, expanding his cosmic mythology through the Fraternity of Raptors. Most recently, the mantle passed to a new Darkhawk in 2021, while Chris Powell remains active in continuity. Once hailed as Marvel's next Spider-Man, Darkhawk stands today as a cult favorite, revived, reinvented, but never forgotten. At number 9, we have Vanisher. Debuting in the X-Men issues 2 in 1963, Telford Porter was one of the first mutants to challenge Professor Xavier's team. Gifted with the power to teleport across vast distances, he used his ability for crime and escape, making him one of the X-Men's earliest recurring foes. Over the years, he joined Factor 3, though its true leader was the Mutant Master, and later allied with the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and the Marauders, slipping in and out of villain rosters across decades. His apparent disappearance came in Champions issues 17 in 1978, when Darkstar trapped him mid-teleport within the Dark Force dimension. He later resurfaced alive, leading the Fallen Angels, and eventually becoming a reluctant operative for X-Force, forced into service by Elixir's implanted brain tumor. During Second Coming in 2010, Vanisher was shot multiple times and vanished once again, presumed dead but never confirmed. Vanisher didn't fade by accident. He evolved from a Silver Age nuisance to a morally gray fugitive, reappearing whenever the X-Men's world needed a teleporter in the shadows. At number 8, we have Trish Tilby. She entered the Marvel Universe in X-Factor issue 7 in 1986 as a sharp and fearless TV reporter covering the rise of the mutant team. Grounded and determined, she became one of Marvel's few consistent human perspectives on the mutant world. Her relationship with Hank Beast McCoy gave her an emotional link to the X-Men, and her reporting on the Legacy virus storyline, especially exposing Moira McTaggart's infection, highlighted the uneasy balance between journalism and compassion. Contrary to popular belief, Trish didn't disappear in the 1990s. She reappeared in New X-Men issue 126 in 2002 amid the X-Men's public outing, later reported on the aftermath of House of M in The Day After in 2005, and even appeared in Mighty Avengers issue 21 in 2009. After that, her presence waned, with only brief mentions across later eras. Trish Tilby wasn't written out. She simply faded as mutant stories shifted toward cosmic battles and global crises, leaving behind one of Marvel's most authentic human voices in a superhuman world. At number 7, we have Deathcry. She first appeared in Avengers issue 363 in 1993, introduced as a fiery young Shi'ar warrior assigned by Empress Lilandra to protect the Avengers in the aftermath of the Kree-Shi'ar War. Known as Shara Naramani, she carried both the arrogance of royalty and the recklessness of youth, later revealed to be Lilandra's niece and likely Deathbird's daughter. Deathcry fought beside Iron Man, Captain America, and the team through the mid-1990s, eager to prove herself among Earth's mightiest heroes. Her tenure ended formally in Avengers issue 399, when she returned to Shi'ar space, not in silence, but by narrative closure. Years later, she resurfaced in Annihilation, Conquest, Star-Lord in 2007, where a failed energy blast killed her on panel. During Chaos War Dead Avengers in 2010, she was briefly resurrected to aid Earth's heroes before dying again when the event ended. Once poised as a cosmic ally for the Avengers, Deathcry became a casualty of shifting eras, a bold experiment from the 90s whose legacy faded between galaxies and forgotten storylines. Next up, a silent enigma buried by his own mystery, a writer who loved a sorcerer, and a mutant who vanished between panels. At number 6, we have Omega the Unknown. He first appeared in 1976, a silent and stoic man of immense power, whose origins and purpose were shrouded in mystery. Alongside him was a boy named James Michael Starling, whose strange connection to Omega hinted at something far deeper than anyone understood. For 10 issues, readers followed their intertwined paths, waiting for answers that never came. In the final issue, Omega was suddenly killed, and the story ended mid-question. His death abrupt, his purpose unexplained. What made it stranger was that Marvel never returned to clarify his fate within his own series. Only 2 years later, in the Defenders issues 76 and 77, another writer tied up fragments of his story, but the truth behind Omega remained elusive. Behind the scenes, low sales and the firing of his creator, Steve Gerber, cut the story short. Omega the Unknown vanished not in battle, but in editorial silence, a mystery buried by circumstance. At number 5, we have Morgana Blessing. She entered Doctor Strange's life in 1981, not as a sorcerer or mystic, but as a writer, a grounded human voice in a world of magic and danger. She was an author, a close friend, and briefly, a love interest of Stephen Strange. When the world believed him dead, Morgana was the one who wrote his biography, keeping his name alive for those who still believed. Over time, she became deeply woven into Strange's circle, facing dangers no ordinary human should endure. But after Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, issue 56 in 1994, Morgana Blessing was simply gone. Her story ended on a haunting note, a near-death moment never revisited. No closure, no farewell. She was neither killed nor written off, just quietly erased from the pages she once shared with Marvel's master of the mystic arts. As new creative teams took over, Morgana disappeared without a trace, leaving her story suspended between life and oblivion. At number 4, we have Maggot, real name Japheth, a South African mutant who first appeared in Uncanny X-Men issue 345 in 1997. He wasn't your usual hero. His digestive system lived outside his body as two sentient slugs named Eony and Meanie, who devoured matter to fuel his superhuman strength. Beneath that grotesque power was a quiet, gentle man haunted by self-loathing and isolation, a mutant even among mutants. For a brief time, he found refuge with Generation X, trying to belong among young heroes who saw past his monstrous gift. But in Generation X issues 48 and 49, something strange happened. After his slugs were captured by a killer called Slaughter, Maggot chose to go after him alone. And that was it. No showdown, no closure. He simply walked off the page, swallowed by the void between panels. For years, Marvel stayed silent, a character who fought for belonging, erased without explanation. Next up, a teleporter lost inside her own light, an armored hero forgotten by history, and a woman who made Captain America feel human. At number 3, we have Locus, real name Raina Piper. She first appeared in X-Force issue 27 in 1993, a mutant whose teleportation powers could bend light, space, and distance itself. Hot-headed and confident, she joined the Mutant Liberation Front and clashed often with Cable's X-Force. Yet beneath her fiery energy was a young woman trying to prove she belonged in a world that feared what she could do. Then, without warning, her powers reacted violently during a mission alongside Sunspot. A burst of distorted energy tore open space around them, and in an instant, both were gone, swallowed by their own power. Sunspot eventually returned. Locus did not. Months later, she briefly reappeared, changed and distant, as if she'd seen the edge of existence, and then she vanished again from Marvel's pages. No explanation, no closure. Locus slipped between realities and never fully came back as a mutant literally lost inside her own light. At number 2, we have Michael O'Brien, a man who carried the weight of both armor and conscience. First appearing in Iron Man issue 96 in 1977, Michael was the second guardsman taking up the suit after his brother's tragic death. Once a police officer, his pursuit of justice led him straight into Tony Stark's world, where vengeance gave way to redemption. Michael became one of Stark Industries' most trusted allies, a man who wore the armor not for power, but to protect. Over the years, he served alongside the Avengers, guarding their base, risking his life in battles where gods and soldiers fought side by side. But somewhere after the late 1980s, his story faded. There was no final mission, no retirement, no farewell. The panels simply stopped showing him. A loyal friend, a brave soldier, and a quiet hero. Michael O'Brien didn't die or fall. He just slipped from Marvel's pages, leaving a silence where his courage once stood. At number 1, we have Bernadette "Bernie" Rosenthal, who first appeared in Captain America issue 247 in 1980. She wasn't a soldier, a spy, or a superhuman. She was a glassblower from Brooklyn who fell in love with Steve Rogers long before the world knew his shield as a symbol again. Bernie grounded him. While Steve struggled with the weight of being Captain America, she reminded him of who he was beneath the mask, a man who just wanted to live honestly. She knew his secret, stood by him through the chaos of his nomad days, and even defended his friends in court. But as Steve's world grew darker, Bernie quietly stepped away, leaving for law school and never truly returning. There was no breakup issue, no final farewell, just a slow fading from the story. One day, she was gone, leaving behind the echo of the woman who once gave Captain America a reason to feel human. These were Marvel's forgotten heroes erased, rewritten, or lost to time. Subscribe now for more stories the comics tried to bury.